A deal on Dickens, who could resist? A stack of Austen, warmly kissed. Golden Age crime tales twist and turn, every page a treasure to learn. Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea, reading always feels so free.
Hi, my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out. I have another review to do today. I have a review of a book that I actually was a little surprised to find wasn't actually a Christmas book. This is The Crime of a Christmas Toy. Actually, this book was full of had a couple surprises in store for me. For one thing, it has nothing to do with Christmas. For another thing, it actually is not a British Library crime classic like I thought it was. It's put out by the British Library, although instead of using Poison Pen Press, they use Orion. But this is actually a Victorian novel instead of being from the Golden Age of Mysteries, which is what the British Library crime classics are. The idea behind the British Library crime classics was that the British Library wanted to expose more readers to Golden Age authors who weren't just Agatha Christie. But this does not fall in there. I'm guessing the cover is similar to British Library crime classic because it's put out by the British Library as well. Anyway, it was deceptive, and I was a little disappointed to find that this isn't actually British Library crime classic, so it doesn't count towards my goal of reading all of those. However, it is still a really enjoyable book, and I do recommend it. So, in one way, it makes me think of the book Poirot Loses a Client, also known as, hold on. Poirot Loses a Client is also, I should know this because I actually knew it by the other title first. Dumb Witness. I think Dumb Witness might be I want to say it's the American title. I'm not sure. Dumb Witness is the title that I first became familiar with this book by, but the other title that I now remember most of the time is Poirot Loses a Client. But this book, which is not Poirot Loses a Client, this book, The Crime of a Christmas Toy, makes me think of Poirot Loses a Client insofar as you have a dog with big personality who belonged to someone. Well, I don't think it's ruining things too much to say the victim because it happens fairly early on, who belongs to the victim and ends up playing a pretty good part in the story. So for dog lovers, you do have a cute little dog with a personality in here. It's not a very long book. It's only about 154 pages. It does move rather quickly. The author has a very enjoyable writing style. This is first published in 1893. It now isn't just the characters who have a fun way of speaking, but it's also the narrative voice, which is fun. It feels like the author enjoys the way words sound and enjoys putting them on paper in a way that is just fun and clever and entertaining. This is the kind of writing I like to see, where it's not just, it's nice writing. It's just nice writing. You're working mostly from the point of view of your main character. So your detective character. It is a first-person story. Wait, I believe it is a first-person story. It's funny. I was so in the character. Yes, I was correct. It is a first-person story. I think that this could have very easily slid into, like, it doesn't feel like it would be out of place in the golden age of mysteries. Now, it does break what would be, several of the rules in Father Knox's Decalogue, but considering the fact that this came before Father Knox ever wrote the Decalogue, I will give it a pass. But there are just some fun characters in here. You do get an idea fairly early on who the murderer probably is, but the fun of this story isn't the mystery necessarily in that sense. It's how he ties to... Okay, yeah, so you get an idea of... you get a pretty good idea of who is the perpetrator in this story. There are a couple perpetrators. That's why I had to amend the way I said that. There are a couple of perpetrators involved, and the way it's handled is interesting. Part of the interest, though, isn't even necessarily figuring out who done it, but why he done it. And just the different aspects that tie into that. You have a couple of very fun interactions between your detective and his landlady, who is just a character and a half. She's something else. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I did expect it to have more to do with Christmas in it. It's actually, the title comes from almost a throwaway line that one of the characters has that points to the cause of the murder, like the weapon. And it, because throughout the book, I'm sitting here like, okay, but how does this tie to Christmas? This is nothing to do with Christmas. And no, it doesn't have anything to do with Christmas. It has to do with a throwaway line, or what seems to be a throwaway line, toward the end of the book. So I do think it's interesting that they chose to title it this. I don't know if it was originally released around Christmas and was an attempt to, boost sales. I don't know what's going on with that. But the author, Henry Herman, lived from 1832 to 1894. It was a pseudonym of Henry Haydrach d'Arco, who was a playwright and novelist. Your investigator is private investigator George Gray of Craven Street. And Sprat is your little dog, who is your, I guess, second protagonist in this. Yeah, the unsavory characters are delightfully unsavory. They're, and then, yeah, I'm trying to tell about the story without ruining it, because I feel like the ending is well handled. That perhaps not enough breadcrumbs were left for the liking of the golden age, like for Father Knox's Decalogue, but I don't think it actually did a terribly bad job of setting up the ending. And I can't say too much more about that because I did like the way that the ending was handled. So yes, I had to check and see if this author wrote any other mysteries, because I think I would rather enjoy reading more of his, even if he doesn't fall into my goal of reading the British Library Crime Classic collection. He's a very readable author, and I wouldn't mind seeing more of his hero, George Gray. So, if you want to enjoy just a nice, quick little Victorian mystery, I would recommend this one. This might be a good choice for Victober. But honestly, it would be a good choice just for any time you want. Just a nice mystery. It, like I say, it feels almost like a Golden Age mystery in spite of predating the Golden Age mysteries. So I do hope he's written more with this detective, because if so, I will be on the lookout and probably trying to obtain them so I can read them. So yes, have you ever heard of The Crime of a Christmas Toy or Henry Herman? Have you read his works? I'd be a little bit surprised if anyone has, just because I don't really feel like, I feel like I have a pretty, like I'm getting a pretty good knowledge of the different authors who wrote crime fiction, like back when, but there seems to have been a lot of them. It seemed like it was a very popular genre, so I'm sure there's many more authors than I'm aware of, and I wouldn't be surprised if this guy's kind of like faded into somewhat obscurity just because, you know, Conan Doyle was such a, you know, looming figure during that era. And then at the same time, on the other end of the pond, you have Anna Catherine Green. Sorry, I was looking up at my books there. That's so on the other side of the pond, then you have Anna Catherine Green, who also wrote a lot of detective fiction in the Victorian era. So I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of gets forgotten because of those two authors. And a lot of people, I mean, I haven't heard many people talk about Anna Catherine Green either. So if she kind of has gotten like forgotten a bit, I wouldn't be surprised if he has. So please check him out if you are interested in Victorian detective fiction or just older detective fiction in general. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me for this book review. I guess I will see you the next time. God bless. Bye.
Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea. Reading always feels so free.